everybody. Happy Monday. I am just in the process of sharing this into our Facebook group. Let me switch on back to the right screen. Give me a shout out and say hello for all of you who are watching us. So glad to have you here today. We've got a lot to cover. So last week was part one of our Adrenal Reset Series, and today we've got a lot more to cover on your adrenal glands. These are my favorite glands because I've got to tell you, they're the ones I know for my body that I have to work on the most. So last week we uncovered how your adrenal glands actually control your energy, your focus, your overall hormone balance, and how the dysfunction of these tiny little glands that are sitting right on top of your kidneys in the back, how they can actually leave you, exhausted, foggy, stuck in survival mode. So today we're going to connect your dots. So if you're not in perimenopause or menopause, right, and you're dealing with hot flashes, if you are in perimenopause and menopause and you're dealing with hot flashes and mood swings and stubborn weight gain or belly fat or sleepless nights, and there is a good chance that your adrenals are driving that chaos. So today I want to talk about the adrenals with relationship to perimenopause and menopause, as well as weight gain, because I find this shows up for all of us, even those in our South Bay Wellness community, because we've got to pay attention to what's happening with the adrenal glands because they play a huge role. So here's the thing. Most people, or most women in a lot of cases, are trying to fix these symptoms, right? The hot flashes, the sleepless nights, the belly fat, the weight gain. They're trying to fix them in the wrong order. Okay. So you guys, if your adrenals are stressed and burnt out, then your body can't actually use the tools like diet changes, exercise plans, even hormone therapy for those of you who are using hormone therapy, which is not something we use in our practice, but we have clients who do. So even if you're using those, if your adrenals are burnt out, your body can't actually use those tools effectively, okay? So I want to dive in today into why the adrenals, they are your backup for your ovaries. So those of you who are in perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, as your ovaries begin to shut down, your backup, like we talked about last week in last week's Lunch and Learn, your backup is your ovaries, okay? But what happens is when we have adrenal burnout, well, that sabotages our weight loss no matter what we do. It's like nearly impossible. And the exact formula to reserve our adrenal hormone harmony is what I want to go through today so that your body can actually finally release weight. Because a lot of women, as they enter the 40, 50, 60s, that weight gain seems to hang on there and stay on there. And there's a lot of concern about that weight gain. So if you've got that concern, go ahead and type in. Guys, I know Carissa is not here with me today. I am totally flying solo, but still message in the chat box. Let me know you're here and let us know your questions. And I want to share with you guys today too. We have not launched it yet, but beginning, I got to look back at the date, after Labor Day. So the week after Labor Day, we are releasing our Weight Release Freedom Formula program, which is going to be phenomenal because it's addressing these very specific things about hormone balance and adrenal balance, and it's going to set you on the right track for weight loss. Okay, it's really our step-by-step system to heal your adrenals, balance your hormones, and release that stubborn belly fat naturally. Okay, so let's start. I want to review what we covered in last week's Lunch and Learns, right? So we talked a little bit about your adrenal glands, or those two like walnut-sized glands that sit right above your kidneys. That's in your back. I always say if you can find the bottom of your ribs, the edge of that last rib there, that free-floating rib, if you put your two fingers on that point on both sides, maybe it's a little tender, which could mean a little adrenal stress. But your adrenal glands, they're the ones that make cortisol, they make DHEA, they make aldosterone, they make adrenalines. And these are all the hormones that are used to manage stress, the fluid balance in your body. That's why, like in the summer when we have this extreme heat that's going on, like we always recommend that our clients put a little bit of the Premier Research Labs pink salt into their water, because that salt actually supports the adrenal glands. It supports that fluid balance. Okay, but your adrenal glands are responsible for your body's survival response, right? That's that fight or flight. They control what is called the HPA axis. So that's your hypothalamus, your pituitary, and your adrenal axis. And think of it as a chain of command that responds to stress. So it produces cortisol when needed, and then it calms back down when that cortisol stressor is gone. And the problem is modern life, right? What we're doing day in and day out, running all over the place, answering emails, scrolling through, the news, which is stressful in and of itself, having all these demands on our time. What happens is our stress signal of our adrenal glands is on all the time. And over months, years, your adrenals, if you recall from last week, they go from this space of overdrive, like really pushing through, to like really just struggling to get by, to like flatline burnout. And that's a lot of what happens during midlife, because you think about it too, midlife isn't just about perimenopause and menopause. It's like we've had this time now accumulated for everything to start breaking down. For those of you with kids, you know what it's like your day's been going on and on and on, and everything is always about everything else, and we're not paying enough attention to ourselves. If you can relate to that, give me like a, oh yeah, in the comments section there. So I know that I'm not the only one that this happens to. So, all right. So let's talk about where menopause comes into issues with the ovaries. Okay. So like we said, the ovaries are the main source of estrogen for your body and progesterone. And that's, the case for most of your life. But as you begin to approach menopause, perimenopause, the ovarian hormone production, it declines naturally, which is what it was designed to do, right? That's the way your body was supposed to work. Thanks for the, oh yeah, Jolene, awesome. So your body has a backup plan though, right? God designed us intelligently. And so we've got to respect God's intelligence. So your adrenals, what they do is they produce a small amount of these hormones then. And your peripheral tissues can then convert the hormones like DHEA, for example, into estrogen. Okay. So ovaries shut down, adrenals take over, and the hormones like DHEA are removed. Yes, Jolene. So the adrenals do contribute to water retention, swollen ankles, lower leg fatigue. Those are also signs of kidney issues as well. Okay, remember that here's your kidney and your adrenals sit like really nicely right on top of there. So you guys, what happens is if your adrenals are already stressed and they're like pumping out cortisol nonstop, which I know for me in my life, just running a practice, having, the 4 kids, all their different activities and stuff, I've got to pay attention to my adrenal health, right? You better bet I'm doing things like castor oil packing my adrenals, making sure I'm getting in my salt, getting in my B vitamins, getting in my vitamin C, getting in my magnesium, all those things that globally support the adrenal glands. But all those things that I also said, those are all extras on top of managing the stress levels, including meditation and deep breathing, because those are pivotal. So let's go back. So what happens is if your adrenals are constantly pushing out cortisol, then they will now need to keep up with the new demand also of having to pick up the slack for the ovaries. And when that happens, guess what? Now we've got hot flashes and night sweats. Why? Because, estrogen regulates our temperature. So as estrogen starts to move all over the place, if our adrenals can't pick up the slack, now we're getting hot flashes and night sweats. And I gotta sneeze. Excuse me. Okay, next is anxiety and irritability. So that happens during these years, of course. So where is it coming from? So normally, right, we're producing what's called progesterone. So progesterone is a hormone that has a calming effect. And without enough of the progesterone, what happens, thank you, Jolene, bless you. What happens is our nervous system begins to run like really hot. So now we're irritable, we're cranky, we're snapping at things, we're crying all over the place. And there goes our issue. Now, cortisol also disrupts our melatonin. So when our melatonin is disrupted, now we've got poor sleep on top of it. So you're not actually getting a restful sleep. You may be waking up with night sweats, but the two are also separate. And then, of course, because DHEA and testosterone both drop, we end up with low libido. So we end up with low libido in an awesome time of life where we could be able to enjoy a little bit more of what was intended. So that's something we want to take a look at. All of this, though, you guys, all of this sets the stage for stubborn weight gain and belly fat. And by the time most women hit menopause, they've actually had decades of stress, from raising kids to building careers to caring for parents, and their backup ovaries, their adrenals, right, are running on empty. And that's why symptoms can feel so much worse for some women than for others. Okay. So if you're wondering why there's so much differences in what's happening for you versus someone else, well, this really does come into play. Okay. So write stress in the chat if you know that you run on extra stress. Go ahead and write that in. So the other thing I want to talk about is what's called the Pregnenolone Steal. Okay. So one of the biggest reasons the adrenals burn out and weight gain, right? One of the biggest reasons those two go hand in hand is because pregnenolone, is the mother hormone. And it gives the raw material your body uses to make cortisol, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. And yes, ladies, we have to have a certain amount of testosterone as well. Okay. But when we're under chronic stress, our body actually diverts the pregnenolone toward making more cortisol instead of sex hormones. So your body is now prioritizing your survival over reproduction, which makes sense. So your body is always designed for your highest and best interest. Everything it does, even if you don't like the symptoms, right? Like diabetes, high blood pressure, right? Even cancer, everything is designed for your body's survival. Okay. So reproduction is not as important as your actual physical survival. So in times of stress, maintaining reproductive health isn't actually the body's priority. So what happens is we end up with lower estrogen and progesterone, which then worsens the menopausal symptoms. So you guys, these things begin to accumulate. We end up with lower testosterone and lower DHEA. So now we've got less muscle and slower metabolism. Okay. And then we have the higher cortisol. And with the higher cortisol, now we're storing more fat, especially around that belly section. So that's why if you are midlife and you are looking at weight loss, the number one priority here, step one, okay, to effective weight loss and effective menopause, right, is really that adrenal health. And that's why the last two segments that we've done here for Lunch and Learn are so important. So I want to zoom in a little bit on cortisol and weight gain, okay, because I think it's important for you to understand this. So cortisol and insulin, they have a relationship together, right? So what happens is high cortisol raises blood sugar. When that blood sugar is raised, it sends a sign to your pancreas, hey, pump out more insulin, because the insulin was what brings that blood sugar down. So now over time, what happens, your cells will stop responding. It's like the boy who cried wolf, okay? And so as your cells stop responding, because they've been pumping out this insulin all this time, flipping my hair here, because they're pumping out this insulin all this time, we end up with something called insulin resistance, okay? And now what happens is your body stores more fat, especially in that midsection area, okay? So if you're gaining weight, a lot of that weight in your midsection area, then this is a sign and signal that, hey, this is related to adrenals. Now, the flip side of this, or the side that plays into the role, is that your belly fat, okay, they have fat around your belly, the visceral fat it actually has more cortisol's receptors than other fat throughout your body. Okay, so what does that mean? More cortisol, more fat, more inflammation, more hormone imbalance. Okay, so now we're in this like spiraling vortex. And then what happens is your thyroid begins to slow down. So when we have chronic stress, okay, it will begin to suppress our TSH. You've probably all seen TSH on your blood work numbers. So TSH is thyroid stimulating hormone. Okay, so that begins to slow down. It also begins to reduce T3 conversion. Okay, what's T3 conversion? Okay, this is the conversion needed to have the thyroid hormone in a way that your body can use. So if we've got less thyroid stimulating hormone, we're effectively reducing the conversion of the hormone. Guess what happens to your metabolism? It tanks right down. Here we have a problem, you guys. Okay, now this is compounded by what? Well, high cortisol does what? It drives your cravings for sugar and salt. Ever notice how you seem to be hungrier when things are kind of all over the place, right? Or when you're stressed? Sometimes it's not just emotional eating. They're connected, but it's not all emotional. There are things that are physiologically happening in your body as well that we have to pay attention. So what happens is, low cortisol, when our cortisol crashes, because it's been up here all the time, it leaves us really tired. And so when we're really tired, we are self-medicating as we're looking for that quick fix of energy. So if you are eating clean, you're exercising, and you still can't lose the weight, you guys, it's not just about willpower. It's actually about your biochemistry. And it is important for us then to break this insulin cortisol cycle. Boop, right? That's the way we actually make weight release sustainable. Does that all make sense? I know Jolene's getting it because she's like, you're describing me exactly. Okay, good, Jolene. That means that we're getting it here. How about everyone else? Message in, tell us a little bit about, is this making sense to you? So in our practice at South Bay Wellness, we really do, we follow a proven sequence because it's so important. Okay. One of the first things we have to do, and this, you guys, we're doing this in our program that starts in September, which isn't released yet, but be on the lookout for it. Make sure you look at our emails from us. And if you don't have an email from us, let us know, but check out our emails and check out our Facebook page and all that stuff, because we are releasing it. I think it's on the schedule to be released next week. So heads up. But anyway, here's what we need to do. We need to calm down that hypothalamus pituitary axis, right? Adrenal axis, the HPA axis, like we spoke about just a few minutes ago, right? The hypothalamus, the pituitary, and the adrenal axis. We've got to gently get that nervous system regulated. Now, if you're asking me, how can I do that? Well, you do that with breath work. You do that with somatic skills, right? And you also do that by having a solid, consistent sleep-wake cycle. What does that mean? That means you're going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time every day. It's critical, you guys. And what I will say is this, so those of you who are up at night scrolling, you guys, it is like the worst addiction that we, I believe, have ever seen as human beings. And we ought to be concerned. Believe me, I am no angel in this department. I gotta be like, holy crap, I gotta put this phone down, right? I gotta put this phone down. But give yourself the opportunity to actually get into bed without having all that white light impacting your sleep-wake cycle. Okay, put the phone down. Don't touch it after 9 p.m. There's nothing out there that's so important. In fact, scrolling social media late at night just leaves you susceptible to buying things or looking at things that are really poor purchases or poor use of your time. Anyway, ain't that the truth? You agree? Yeah. If you do, put it in the comment section. Give me a yes in the comment section. So the first thing that we do is we take care of this hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, okay? We start to calm the nervous system down so it can stop being like this all the time. Then the second thing that we need to do, because now if you've been like this for so long, now your blood sugar is kind of all over the place. So we've got to work on stabilizing the blood sugar. And that's where we add in all the different components of blood sugar stabilization, including, protein with every meal, removing removing sugar first and foremost, right? But also removing other foods that will spike your blood sugar, making sure that you've got mineral rich hydration so that you're taking care of that. Remember, I said before, we use the Premier Research Labs pink salt in our water all the time, especially when things are stressful or when you're sweating or things like that. If you don't have a PR Labs account, you guys, message us. We'll make sure that you're taken care of. If you go to prlabs.com, you can use the code Dr. DRDEE15. That way you can get an account. And the cool thing is, you guys, regular retail pricing is like 20% above what's inside of our portal. So you get the 15% off from that Dr. D15 plus the 20% off, because now it's different between public versus private pricing. So just a tidbit for you there. But anyway, so number one, calm the HPA axis. Number two, stabilize the blood sugar. And I'm looking at the time here, make sure I have enough time to get everything covered in this little chunk here. So the next thing that we do is we have to actually support adrenal hormone production. Okay. And how do we do that? Well, it's different for different people. So like I spoke about before, you've got your major nutrient players: vitamin C, B vitamins, and magnesium. So for me, Premier Research Labs has a magnesium powder that I do take at night. It has like a sweet watermelon-y taste. So some people like it, some people don't. There's also, they have the magnesium glycinate that so many of our clients take, because you guys, magnesium is one of those nutrients that is most depleted in our society today. And what I'll say about that as well is that, there is they've done lots of research studies. And one of the things that they've shown is that magnesium deficiency also is correlated with higher weight and higher weight gain and stubborn weight loss, right? So that's really important. So Jolene, how do you know if you're getting enough salt or too much salt? So oftentimes, Jolene, I'll go by my energy levels. I'll know if I haven't had enough of the salt, that my energy levels will typically end up being lower. So what I see so let me take a step back, Jolene, because I know you're not a client of South Bay Wellness. So when we work with our clients, we are always testing very specifically what it is that their body needs. And I will say, in that realm of pink salt, it usually ranges from a quarter teaspoon to a full teaspoon of that Premier pink salt per day, depending on the person and what their needs are and their nutrient status, how well what their diet looks like, how much they're getting in via food, and then of course what their activity and their stress levels are. So that's really important. Vitamin C, well, if you have too much vitamin C or too much magnesium, you'll end up with loose stools. So you've kind of gone beyond your limit there if your stools get to be too loose. Okay. And then of course, B vitamins, you will just urinate out if you're getting too much of the B vitamins. So Jolene, in our practice, we usually recommend the Premier Research Labs, the phytomethylates, for those that have the MTHFR gene mutation. That's where we start with them, because it's got, the perfect B vitamin for that kind of, those kind of issues when it comes to gene expression. And then otherwise, we use the Premier Research Labs, the Max B, which is a fermented B vitamin blend, which is amazing. I mean, I take Max B and I can feel it going through. So that's my other favorite. And for those who don't like the taste or things like that, the Be Complete is the other one that we use. And for the phytomethylates, it's usually 2 caps per day. For the Complete B, it's usually about 2 caps per day. For the Max B, it's usually somewhere between a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons a day that we typically see as the amount that's needed. Okay. But that's good. The other thing too is adaptogenic herbs. So for example, Premier Research Labs just had I feel like I'm a Premier Research Labs rep. I am not, you guys. I am not. I'm just so familiar with the line because we use it so much in our practice, because it is the best stuff out there that that I have it. You're welcome, Jolene. So they just came out with their ashwagandha, which is amazing. But we also like the adrenavin and the adaptogen, which they are adaptogenic herbs. The way I like to describe adaptogens is they adapt to what your body needs. So they upregulate the things that need to be upregulated. They downregulate the things that need to be downregulated. And so you'll see a lot of power in that. Okay. All right. So we got calming the system, stabilizing the blood sugar, supporting the adrenal health. And I've got two more, you guys. I'm going to run over a couple of minutes here. So the next is we've got to reduce the hormone disruptors. You guys, there's so much toxicity in our environment that if we are continuing to just take in toxin after toxin after toxin, if you're spraying yourself with perfume or cleaning your house with crazy products or putting on makeup or using shampoo and conditioner that are toxic or eating food that's sprayed with glyphosate, you're making the problem worse and not better. Okay, if you're eating highly processed food, you're making the problem worse and not better. I've been meaning to do a post on it and I haven't yet, but there was just a study released last week. Now, this is kind of like a no-brainer to me in my mind, but it's good that we've got some scientific research behind it. So they had two experimental groups. It was funny to watch how many people dropped out of the minimally processed group during the research study. That's a whole other topic of conversation, right? So people must have been still throwing in that ultra processed food and had to be eliminated from the study. But basically the study took these two groups of people and they had them eat a minimally processed food and they had them eat ultra processed food. Okay. And then they kind of changed it and then they switched the groups and had them do that. And what they found was the people who ate the minimally processed food diet, even though they had the exact same calories, they lost double the weight of those who ate the ultra processed food. So this is some of my pet peeve with some of those weight loss programs out there that are feeding you processed foods, right? The WW, for example, where you can go buy all sorts of garbage in the grocery store that's ultra processed, that maybe it has lower calories, but it's not always about calories. It's about the toxicity that happens, and it's about the quality of what it is that you're eating. Big difference, you guys. Really big difference. Okay. The other piece is liver toxicity. So if your liver and your gallbladder are congested, you can't detoxify. So your body ends up all clogged up and junked up. Now, your hormones come from, a lot of the synthesis of your hormones. Let me correct my language. A lot of the synthesis of your hormones comes from your liver and your GI system. So if your GI system is not in check and your liver is not in check, well, guess what? You're not going to get the results that you're actually looking for. Okay. And that's a really big thing. We're going to talk a lot about that in our weight release freedom formula program that's coming up next month. But that is a key important component for you guys. Okay. And then of course, the last step, you guys, is muscle, right? You've got to build the muscle and boost your metabolism. So resistance training, especially if you are menopausal, perimenopausal, it is one of the best things. Yes, lift heavy weights. You are not going to turn out and look like, what's his name? Arnold Schwarzenegger. You're not going to end up looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I promise. Okay. But those heavy weights do a couple different things. They build your muscle, which burns calories, right? Faster. Okay. It restores your lean body mass. And in addition to that, it's building your bone. And of course, this is a whole other conversation, but as we're perimenopausal, menopausal, we've got issues with our bone health, and we've got to pay extra special attention. So yes, heavy lifting, obviously you want to do things that are not that your body can handle and are not dangerous, and you want to have proper form and all of that stuff. Okay. But even just healthy movement will help you produce energy. So if you're in that space where you're carrying too much weight, or you've got too much inflammation, or you've got too much pain, just the to walk on a regular basis, go out for a walk is really, really, really important, you guys. And we can go into more fitness hacks and such later on in another lunch and learn, if that's what you guys want. You got to tell me what you want. Whatever you tell me you want, that's what we cover in lunch and learn. Okay, so you guys, this is the exact sequence that I went through that we're going to be picking up in the Weight Release Freedom Formula program that we have coming up next month. So I'll tell you, if you've been battling with the weight gain, the hormone chaos, the exhaustion through menopause. It's not that you haven't tried hard enough, I'm sure. It's that you've been fighting with your biology, right? Working against you, and that's a problem. So when you heal your adrenals first, your hormones recalibrate, and your metabolism will begin to wake up, and your weight release begins to come down, right? So you begin to release the weight, and that weight battle begins to end. So we're gonna, in the program, we will go through a step-by-step personalized system to help you. So it's about restoring your adrenal resilience, balancing your hormones, releasing the weight without, punishing yourself or working out like 10 hours a day. I don't know if it's even possible. Okay, I'm being exaggerating here, but you know what I mean. So at this point, you guys, I recommend, so if you're wanting to learn more about the hormones and stuff, if you are following my podcast, so that's True Wellness with Dr. D. If you're not, why are you not? If I were you, I would be following the podcast. There's so much different stuff that we release, but right now we are, I think this week is episode 3, I think, or 4. I can't remember what we grew up to, but episode 3 or 4 of our True Wellness Hormone Reset Series. So make sure that you're following us. It's you can go to drd.com or go to any of the podcast sites and look up True Wellness with Dr. D, or you can find Dr. D on YouTube, and you can watch the actual, the video instead of just listening to the audio. But for these 5 weeks, I am walking you through really practical science-based tools to help you balance your hormones, and part of it is supporting your adrenals every day. So if you need help, you can't find it, by the way, just DM me adrenal and I'll send you a link to the podcast. And you guys, if you are interested in the weight release program that we are coming up with next month, it begins like I said, we haven't opened it till next week. So this is, but it's our weight release freedom formula program. You can just type freedom into the comment section and we'll make sure that you get the information so that you can register for the program. So, and one more thing, you guys, so this is for our program, but if you want, I can give you the adrenal stress self checklist. Okay, so we have a PDF. It's called Adrenal Stress Self Checklist. All you have to do is put in the comment section, adrenal stress, and we will send you that checklist. It's just a way for you to go ahead and check in to see, okay, are my adrenals part of the issue? So you've got access to that. All right, everybody. Jolene, I already see that you want the freedom. So Jolene, I'll make sure that you get the information about our program. Like I said, the program itself, the registration for the Weight Release Freedom Formula program, it will be opened up next week. Okay. And yes, we'll get you out the adrenal one as well. So it's 3 things, you guys. If you need connection to the Dr. D podcast, let me know. We'll get you connected to Dr. D's podcast where we've got more on the hormonal stuff. We've got the Weight Release Freedom Formula program that is coming up as well. That is going to begin after Labor Day in September. I can't remember the date, but I think it's like the 9th or something like that. I don't want to look at the calendar right now, but it'll be there when we send you the information. And then if you want to know if your adrenals are stressed, then of course, right, adrenal stress, and we'll go ahead and get you that PDF as well. That's our PDF assessment. And I think that's it, everyone. Oh, you know what I missed? So in case you have not seen it, you guys, we start our book club next week. And let's see, do I have it? I have it. I know I have it. For those of you who follow the podcast, if you have seen my podcast interview with Dr. Joan Rosenberg, so we are doing the podcast on 90 Seconds to a Life You Love. Dr. Joan Rosenberg's book. It's going to be an amazing, amazing book club. It is, you guys, this is one of those interactive book clubs. It really is more like a program than it is a book club, but it is priced even less than a book club. So you want to get yourself in there for the next 6 weeks. The amazing Carissa, who's on vacation today, the amazing Carissa will be leading this book club. And let me see, I can drop a link for the book club into the chat box for you. Hold on, let me find it. It's like go.southbaywellness.com. Is it join book club? Yeah, it's Join Book Club 90, and I'll drop that in there. It's if you are a client of South Bay Wellness to join the book club, it's $7 for the 6 weeks. That's it's almost silly, you guys, but we appreciate our clients who are members in our program. And so it's our way of giving back, but also still having you be there and show up. So having a little bit of skin in the game there. And for those of you who are not current clients of South Bay Wellness, the book club is $27. So you probably spend more than that on a lunch. I was going to say dinner, but on a lunch out these days. So definitely join in for that, because that book club, right, and 90 Seconds to a Life You Love, that's going to be a really awesome place where you can actually tune in to working on that HPA axis and your stress management and your relationship to your emotions. So that's a really, really powerful way. And of course, you want to register. There is a link for the book when you register. So you want to go ahead and get a copy of the book. So if you're still thinking about joining the book club, you do not need to begin the reading until after we start, which is going to be the start date is the 18th. So the book club begins on the 18th of August. So, all right, everyone, that's it for today's Lunch and Learn Live. Thanks for participating with me. Jolene, you had your typing fingers ready, and I'm grateful because it's never fun feeling like you're sitting in a room talking to yourself. But all right, everyone, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.